fired. Well, joining us now to talk more is board-certified physician Dr. Leigh Thank you for joining us, doctor.
Thanks for having me, Anna.
We're going to go ahead and play a little bit more about what Kennedy had to say. Listen.
We are the sickest country in the world. That's why we have to fire people at the CDC. They did not do their job. This was their job to keep us healthy.
Thank you.
And I need to fire some of those people to make sure this doesn't happen again.
I mean, Trump brought him in to be a disruptor. Do you think he expected this?
I don't know what President Trump expected, but this chronic disease, I mean, they are cutting programs in the CDC that deal with chronic disease, like diabetes prevention, hypertension prevention, aside from immunizations. And if you really want to deal with chronic disease, you have to have the resources for people to do this. And it's not blaming the public health institutions is not the way to do it. And the scientific evidence about the vaccines, it just doesn't bear out. For decades globally, scientists have shown that there is not an association with vaccines and autism. You know, the most recent study several years ago looked at 1.2 million children. So I follow the data. All physicians follow the data, and he doesn't have the data.
Well, according to the CDC, the rates for Americans diagnosed with diabetes has gone up over the years. Obesity rates have skyrocketed along with chronic disease. If we take a look at some of these numbers on our screen, I mean, we all know somebody who's living with a chronic disease if we aren't living with one ourselves. And the average life expectancy age is not increasing either. In fact, it ticked down recently. Does this Make America Healthy Again plan have some legitimate concerns that we need to be more aggressively addressing? You say what's being done right now you believe is not has not been appropriate action anyhow to address chronic disease. What would you suggest doing instead?
Well, the issue with chronic disease is what he's doing now is actually the administration is cutting some of the funding that's helping to deal with the chronic disease. And by cutting the funding, it's creating an issue. There are hypertension, diabetes programs that the states use to help with diabetes. And the problem is in this country, and especially the administration that's pro-industry, they're putting industry profits before that. You know, talking about putting sugar in Coca-Cola is not going to make Coca-Cola more healthy. You know, dealing with food deserts where people can't get fresh fruits and vegetables, cutting programs for children like SNAP, which allow them to get fresh fruits and vegetables. It's dealing with those things. And for years and years, our country has sort of been very pro-industry. We don't have cities that are walkable anymore. You know, that was the auto industry, and sort of making sure that they were safe. And now... Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. I can tell you're animated, and we appreciate having guests who are you know, really emotional about all of it. But the secretary, you know, he says he's trying to get rid of people who have conflicts of interest. Do you think that lawmakers should be accepting money from big agricultural companies, big food companies, big pharmaceutical companies? Because there is a problem of some sort. There needs to be some sort of shakeup when we look at chronic disease exploding, whether it's doing the Make America Healthy Again movement the way Kennedy is doing it now or other ways. But something needs to change when we start looking at the money.
No, I agree. Then it's the politicians. Talk about the government, talk about the politicians. Don't talk about the scientists in the public health institutions that are putting out the guidelines to try and keep America healthy. Cutting the scientists, cutting the funding for these things is not going to help it. Then talk about the politicians taking the money. Talk about how this is helping big industry. I mean, he was virtually giving commercials to these companies that said, oh, look at our candy. We don't have any artificial colors in our candy anymore. That doesn't make candy more healthy. You know, if you're going to eat the rainbow, it needs to be fresh fruits and vegetables.
Great point.
Right. And you need to make sure that everybody has access to that. And cutting funding to health care is certainly not going to make America healthy with the great, big, beautiful bill. So we need to really start grassroots and help Americans for health.
Well, we appreciate your time. We do have a doctor coming on next hour who feels a bit differently, sees things a bit different. Dr. Leigh, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
24 minutes after the hour.